Oprah Winfrey is maintaining a very specific Black cultural tradition of bad auntie advice. Oprah Winfrey has been extremely influential in shaping generations of women's lives, relationships, and emotional frameworks. Over the past, I don't know, decade or so, Oprah Winfrey has completely lost the plot because what Oprah is doing is giving advice from an emotionally wounded elder who's passing on trauma and not tools for breaking generational curses. And it's very specific because Oprah is a billionaire now. And everything that she does is political, is economic, and secretly, or maybe not so secretly, she is supporting empire and supremacy culture. And quietly, the empire that she's been aligned with for generations is preparing for adult children to be financially responsible for their aging parents. Guys, my name is G. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and let's get into my notes. Oprah has been America's auntie for generations. But I think that the evolution of generations now are able to see her advice just like we're seeing all of those Black aunties that were giving us bad advice. He's a good man, Savannah. At least he doesn't hit you. The endurance, the stay through the pain, stay for the children. This is the equivalent to the type of advice that Oprah has been currently giving people. This advice is why so many new women are turning away from aunties and older women who are telling them to endure pain that they don't have to endure. Oprah's shock that so many adult children have gone no contact with abusive parents is not is actually jealousy. Oprah herself endured SA from a very young age. Her mother had her when she was a teenager, and everyone in Oprah's life let her be abused, let her be sexually molested for most of her life, and her mother included. But she's forgiven her. She's forgiven her mother because the Bible said so. Her mother did not seek Oprah's forgiveness until she was rich and famous. This woman never cared anything about Oprah and likely would not have cared anything about Oprah if she had not become the mogul that she's become. Her taking care of her mother doesn't cost Oprah anything. She's a billionaire. She don't miss that money. But the rest of us who might end up responsible for aging parents who abused us, who didn't treat us well, who we had to go through therapy for, if you don't want to be financially responsible for these people, then you shouldn't have to be. You shouldn't have to be indoctrinated in biblical ideologies in order to survive dealing with your parents. Oprah comes from a generation where women always expected to endure, to manage to get through. And being a Black woman who endured, struggled, and then overcame was a success story. And this is still the type of advice that Oprah seems to be giving her audience. I think that more of us have woken up to the bad Black auntie advice. We are able to differentiate what is good for us in order to break the generational cycles of abuse. Oprah is teaching people that this is a trend, that is not something that's sustainable. I know personally, I have had to struggle with understanding how I can have a relationship with my own mother. There are so many things my own mother has done that are completely unforgivable, and I will not forgive her for it. I have a huge boundary, however. I'm all the way in another country, and there are things that ultimately I don't have to deal with because I'm all the way in another country. For me personally, I didn't go no contact with my mother permanently. I just didn't talk to her very much. And I think for me, now that I do speak to her through text message or those kind of means now, the way that I was able to move on from the things that happened in my life with my mother was not because my mother has changed. It was not because my mother had come to me and said what needed to be said about what, and I don't even know what that would be. To be honest with you, I don't know what she could say, but she's never acknowledged the things that has happened with her in my life. And I don't expect her to. I don't think that she has the capacity to. And I am not expecting that my capacity for who I have become and grown past her will ever be something that she can catch up with. I don't think that a lot of people can deal with people who can't catch up with them in certain ways. And I don't know that they have to, even if it's your parents. I think that how you need to break generational curses that are negative is up to you. If you're the generational curse breaker, then you carry the burden of those no contacts rules. The Bible does not actually even tell you honor your mother and father if they are abusing you. Jesus himself, if you want to talk about the Bible, left his parents. He was traveling with a new family, one that he created on his own. He was more dedicated though to the people that he was traveling with, the family, the covenant that he created, than he was his mother. And I think that ultimately more and more people are actually doing what will heal them and change the course of their generations. Even if they don't have any children, it changes the energy in which you are able to exist in this world. But what I think is really important with Oprah and general bad auntie advice is how it protects the systems that have oppressed us. Be it Oprah on a bigger level, she is completely protecting empire and supremacy culture, because ultimately she, if from her gilded seat, can tell the rest of the world how they should behave, how their finances could be affected when it does not affect her at all. She is not that auntie who's giving you that advice and then saying, you know what, let me create a situation that would help support you in supporting this system. Let me build free nursing homes for people. Let me do things that I can afford to do with my billions of dollars. She's not doing any of that. She's just pointing at you and telling you, oh, you're not doing right by your parents. They birthed you. You didn't ask to come into this world. Most of us, I don't think we remember our past lives to know that we we wanted to be reincarnated in this world, in this timeline, because I can tell you, I wouldn't have chose it. The tradition of family values, the tradition of stay for the family, is white supremacist cultural indoctrination, because that is what they need everyone to do. They need those units to do the work that the government plans on leaving behind. These structures are often isolating for the people inside of them. There's no actual emotional support. You don't deal with anything. You keep the family secrets. You keep the family pain, and you just endure psychologically until it breaks you. Bad auntie advice, like what Oprah is doing, continues to support patriarchy and white supremacist cultural systems. Social safety nets being taken away by the government, and new laws across states being passed and being ready to be enforced. Adult children are now financially responsible for their parents' medical care, their medical bills, their overall basic needs. I swear, like the boomer generation, they stole all the wealth, right? And then after they stole and hoarded everything for themselves, they have told everybody else, now you got to figure it out. We had all of the social services, we had all of the help. Now everybody else has to figure it out. During the podcast, Oprah diminished people's no contact, their boundary setting as a trend. Then she had psychologists who came on who didn't necessarily support the fact that you, as a human being, as an individual, get to choose and shape your life experience. They didn't support that. They questioned whether or not these people who are doing therapy, who are actually doing the work on themselves, didn't find the right therapist, didn't have the right point of view, from this perspective of what is good for them. They were making little signals to make people question whether or not their no contact boundary was correct. But I think that now more young people are setting clear boundaries. They're saying very clearly what they can and cannot deal with their parents. And I think that's fair. Oprah does not take into account, neither did the psychologists take into account the generational social trauma that everyone has gone through, and why many parents never learned how to parent. They never learned how to love, and they did not try to change themselves in order to become better human beings to be able to raise children. Raising children is a job. It is hard. And it is one of the things that's so interpersonal that we have to look at ourselves, and most people don't. Most people become parents and they have no idea what they're doing. Even as we are navigating gentle parenting and all of these different things that we're doing, we still don't know because we have ideas, but we have to look at the people that we create and parent them to how they need to be parented, not reparenting ourselves, not all of these ideologies that we have and we have had. They're no different than what the old people had, like spare the rod, spoil the child, like is an ideology. And the ideologies change, but we never look at children as people. We look at the things that we want to do and how we want to shape them, but we don't look at them and what they are reflecting to us about who they might want to become. And a lot of times when we become parents, we don't think about that. And the psychologist, Oprah, we all know that. We all know the traumas of our world and how that has shaped human beings to not be prepared to make new human beings healthy emotionally and mentally because it just wasn't a thing. One of the psychologists even talked about how no contact was potentially just avoidance. And I think that the level of dismissiveness amongst Oprah and her panel for these people was insulting. There was one woman who was a parent who went no contact with her son because of his abusive behavior towards her and her new husband. And she was saying that they, like, as a parent who goes no contact, you don't get the same sort of support and sympathies as children who go no contact on their parents. And I almost understand why, because you're the parent. You shaped that child. You raised a child that somehow decided to abuse you. And it's hard, I think, because people look at you and say, well, you still did something to that kid that shaped them this way. Whether that's true or not, I think that every time we look at our kids and we are trying to raise the best type of child that we can raise, because I do believe that everyone wants to raise the best type of child, how we have dealt with our traumas, we never know how that's going to shape our children. And people and parents, especially, we are not always honest about who we are with our kids. And even if you never have children, we're not always honest with who we are as people. So if we're not honest with ourselves, and we never want to be honest with ourselves, we have the potential to raise children who never see an adult who is self-aware and who is self-regulated to the point that they should have children. We need to be honest about that. I think that we need to be more honest about the fact that most people should have never had kids. And even this push to force more people to have children is going to create more trauma in people's lives. And they don't want people to address the realities that they live with. They don't want people to address these traumas. The direction of empire is not to heal, is not to break the generational curses, because the truth is, if we have a generation all breaking generational curses. The system could fall down. Empire could be ruined because more people will not want to engage in the way that the indoctrination keeps the system going. All of the little things, religion, patriarchy, capitalism, all of these cogs in the wheels of our system of society keeps us where we're supposed to be. The more people who break their personal curses in their family have the potential to break the system. Guys, if you have not already, go ahead, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to having this discussion with you in the comments. So, ciao, ciao for now.